that's the wrong camera. There we go. You're live. You're on air.
Hi, guys. I'm watching this. He's been playing with the computer, and he's got all sorts of little gadgets running, and he's got more to play with yet. So good Lord, God only knows what's going to happen to this stream now. First thing right off the top, hello. I hope you all had a great week. I know that there are some friends and some people who watch the lives in Kentucky and in Illinois and parts of the South Midwest of the U.S. that are waking up to some really devastating news this morning. So please keep all of those people in your thoughts and your prayers. And if you can offer any support whatsoever, knowing painters, you will. So just to let you know, most of my friends down there have already been marked safe, so I thank the good Lord for that. And hopefully there's better news ahead for a lot of these families. Some of them are going to get some really nasty news, but hopefully, fingers crossed, there's not nearly as many as they're expecting. So, terrible, terrible thing that happened down there last night. Absolutely horrific. And I think with that in mind, we're going to need some distractions because at this time of year, it's difficult enough with COVID, with natural disasters, with floods in BC and tornadoes in Kentucky and in Illinois. We need a little good news and a little bit of fun. So we're going to paint arum lilies today. I love painting these because they're elegant and they're pretty, and they're such a simple palette to work from. Such a simple palette. You're talking about a couple of shades of white, a little bit of blue, some brown, and some green. It's a really simple color palette to work with. It's an easy one to control too, so you're going to have a lot of fun with that. And Renee is going to have a lot of fun playing with some of the software on this computer. I got to tell you a secret. You haven't seen him yet, but he is barefaced. He shaved off the beard. Now he looks like he's 12.
12 again.
He's 12 again. And he's complaining that his face is cold.
My face is cold.
That's why he's wearing a toque in the house. I know, we got a fire going, the heat's going, the heat pump is running. We're under a storm warning for today. Freezing rain, cold, wet. Ugh. Good day to stay in the house and paint. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to play with this arum lily. We're going to break out some stamps, and that's our giveaway today. We've got some gorgeous Stampenda stamps for a giveaway, and because it is the end of the year's coming up, and I need to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff that we've accumulated, I've got a couple of giveaways today. However, I did put all of the stamps, the grunge stamps, the vintage note, a bunch of the stamps that we have in inventory. We put them all on sale yesterday. So if you find yourself in need of some stamps, don't forget to go and check there. I did change things up a little on the website. We have a section for our RAK patterns. Pardon me. And then I moved all the free patterns, the regular patterns, free patterns, onto the store. So there's a segment in there now called free downloads, and you can just go right into the shop and you can find it. It's in the menu. So we did put up a new one yesterday. Anyway, this is fun. It's called Meet Me Under the Mistletoe. It's just a simple little tag ornament. I thought it would be fun, so I did it in two colors, did one with red berries, one with white, and the pattern for that is available on the website in that free download section, so you'll be able to find that. And they are my monthly paid membership group. Every month they get a pattern that is exclusive to them, and that comes with their membership, so they're not having to pay for that. And the pattern then, once we're done teaching the class, the pattern is then available on the website for everybody. And we posted it last week, but I had never really said much about it, so I wanted to show you the piece. The piece in the pattern that we did in the class is this one. And it's called Hot Chocolate and Cookies, which is the name of the pattern. But there's some really cool other pieces that go with that because, I can't just do things simply. I have to make things as complex as possible. So this pattern also comes with 2 other designs and the instructions for both of them. So there's this one, the hot chocolate bar, and then this one, the hot chocolate served here. So all 3 of those designs are in that one pattern. So if you're looking for something fun to do over the holidays, this is a fun pattern for that. And then our giveaway this week, we have some awesome Stampendous stamps. This beautiful one. I am so disorganized this morning. It's ridiculous.
This morning?
Be nice.
They're loving the glasses, by the way.
Oh, good. I'm rather liking the glasses. Renee tells me they're old lady glasses.
They are old lady glasses.
Of course they are. I'm an old lady. You know, all the color went out of my hair. I have to put it somewhere. So the Stampendous stamp that we're giving away today is one of the new Slims. I love this stamp. It's so pretty. Look at this. It's called Slim Snowflake Wishes. It's a gorgeous stamp. Absolutely beautiful. It's got some great lettering in it and lots of swirls and pretty snowflakes. It's a wonderful stamp. And then this one is one of their cling rubber stamps with the dies. So if you're a paper crafter, you're going to love this. This is a gorgeous step called Bird Collage. Wonderful set. So one of you is going to win this and another one of you is going to win this. So that is our giveaway today. If you are looking for Stampendous stamps, you're looking for a retailer, check out paintingwithdeb.com. She's got lots of Stampendous stamps and her pricing is really good and her shipping is reasonable. And yes, she's shipping. They have, things are starting to gradually get back to normal on the west coast or the left coast of Canada after all of that flooding and storms. So yes, they are shipping and shipping is moving. So that is a good thing. And I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. But I'm excited about this piece because we're going to be doing something a little bit different with this one, something I haven't shown you yet. And this one is surprisingly easy and it works up really, really cool. And it gives you lots of dimension with very little effort. So if you are ready to get started, what?
No.
What?
You forgot to mention the big achiever.
Oh my gosh, I did. I did. I have to say a big thank you to you guys. Because of you and these lives, we hit the 5,000 subscriber mark this week and actually went over it, didn't we? We're at 5,015 or something?
5,015 as of...
5,015 as of at some point today. I don't know. But if you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit that big red bar. Just click on it and turn on the bell notification so that you get that my channel lets you know when we're going live and what we're going to be doing. You'll get messages. They'll come directly to your email. You can get all kinds of fun information about what we're doing next. And
5,015.
yeah, 5,015. So even though we've put a fair amount of work to it on our end, you guys are the ones that have made it happen for us, and I greatly appreciate it. It's going to give us a few perks with YouTube that we'll be able to actually do more with. We'll be able to put up more content. We'll be able to do more exciting things for you, and that's what we want. We want to be able to do lots of really cool things. So thank you. We appreciate your support.
We also get access to YouTube. It's called YouTube Give.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube Give is a program for fundraising.
Yeah.
So we're able to get in contact directly with fundraising organizations, and all the payment processing and donation processing is done through YouTube. And what YouTube does is they will match
the donations. So, and Renee and I both have a couple of charities that are pretty special to us. So we've been wanting to do a fundraising event. And doing it on our own has been very problematic, to say the least. Just a little bit. We've been wanting to do for a couple of charities in particular, and haven't been able to, simply because we don't have the resources to do it. Hitting that 5,000 mark means that now we have access to some of YouTube's resources, and they will help us do this. So that's exciting. So
more content? Is that possible?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is, and we want to do it. So
we were actually limited on how often we could upload, and
yeah,
and the length of that upload could be.
Yeah. So that's changed. Once you hit that 5,000 mark, you have access to more and more. I don't want to call them perks. They're not really perks, but more services that you don't necessarily have access to just as a casual YouTuber. So it's been pretty exciting because we hit that line, and so now some of the things that we really wanted to do are going to be a whole lot easier for us. So and we're going to have a little bit of help from YouTube, which is really nice. So we're really excited about that. It was a big deal, and it completely slipped my mind. Too many other things up there. Design ideas for one. I mean, my brain runneth over this week, and I haven't had 5 minutes to sit down and really do much of anything. So I'm rather excited about painting today because I haven't really had a chance to paint this week. So
No, you have not.
I have not had a chance to paint this week. It's been a very busy week. So if you are ready to get those brushes wet, so am I.
Yay!
There we go.
I love this piece. This is the piece that we're doing. This is Arum Lily. I am not a person of the green thumb persuasion.
No.
I have a...
The kids survived.
Hey, you've been well fed.
Yes, I have.
But no, plants do not live around me. I do have a garden, and but
Not
no,
anymore.
not anymore. But I don't have a green thumb.
Yeah.
I do like, however, to paint flowers. Smart ass.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
So I think for me, I think I learn more reading and researching about whatever I'm painting than actually growing plants.
You can actually bring it closer to you if you'd like.
There.
There you go.
So the Arum Lily, I had a couple of people ask me why I called this the Arum Lily. Well, Arum is actually the proper name for this flower. Acala is more or less a nickname. It's most commonly known as a calla lily, but it is actually an arum lily. And if you really want to be technical about it, it's not a lily at all.
It's a tulip.
It's not. Lilies and tulips are bulb-based plants, and the calla lily is not. It's actually closer to a jack-in-the-pulpit, which is a type of orchid.
Cool.
Believe it or not. Yeah. So I didn't know that. I always just simply assumed if they called it a lily, it was a lily. But I found that out recently, that the arum lily is not it is not technically a lily. It is closer to a jack-in-the-pulpit. So which I found really interesting. It is a beautiful flower, and part of what is so appealing about it is all of this texture in those petals and the translucency of the petals. That's what is appealing. Although they look very delicate, they're a remarkably strong plant. They are wonderful to paint. I love that it's actually quite easy to sort of get that translucency or that appearance of the translucency. And so I thought I would show you how to get that more realistic look. And I have a simple technique for doing it. And then how to get that, as I said, that depth that you see in here so that you get a more realistic looking flower. So it isn't nearly as difficult as you think it is.
Ooh. Obviously somebody is German.
Oh,
We have a German audience member.
nice. So
Or Dutch.
we're Dutch. I can't see the comments.
Austrian, I don't know, but
Yeah.
could be German. Her name is Anna, with a J.
Anya.
Anja. Anja. Anja.
Anya. So we're going to start with the background. Now I'm using my favorite stamps, which is this Vintage Note. I love this stamp. And I find that the older it gets, the more use it gets, the more I like it. I like the impression that it leaves. And so I'm using a Vintage Note. And then I have my grunge set. I love this set because it's got so many different stamps in it. I mean, it's 5 pieces in this set, and I love it. I have an obsession with these cancellation stamp. I don't know why. And then I love this. It looks like part of an old ledger. That appeals to me. And then this one with the crackled paint, again, appeals. And then this one is just sort of a signature block. I kind of like this, that it's got these ink splatters and whatnot in the background. And then I do love pattern, and I have a thing about little loopy scrolls and things like that. And this one is also a favorite. So everything within that stamp set appeals to me on a whole bunch of levels. So those are the stamps that we're going to use. And then the stencil we're going to use is this one. I still think this is one of my all-time favorites. This one is Postal. It's M229 if you're looking for it. This one has the cancellation stamp for Paris, France, and then the Montmartre cancellation over the stamp, the postal cancellation. These two appeal to me on a lot of levels. Again, I don't know what it is about the circles, but they just do it for me. So we're going to develop a nice background using this stamp set.
Didn't hear of any mention of asphaltum today.
It'll be in there.
It's coming.
I don't think I can paint without asphaltum. So I'm going to use warm white and this little mini brayer. And we're going to roll out the warm white on the palette. And I'm going to start with my vintage note stamp. And I just roll the paint onto the stamp. Not looking for perfection. And I'm just going to sort of randomly stamp in some of this script, like so.
Oh, sorry guys, I had a phone call with my daughter. Didn't know there were issues in the Midwest.
Oh, terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Sheila's daughter's in Chicago.
Yeah, she's in Chicago, Illinois.
Hopefully everything's good. What's going on?
So I'm using that little scroll stamp. I love this one, but I think I'm going to put it up here because I kind of like that airiness up there. And while it's still got paint on it, I'm going to tuck a little bit right there.
Is that a 6x6?
This is an 8x8 canvas. So there's my scroll. And I think I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to roll a little paint onto that. In fact, I think I'm going to use all of these stamps just because I can. So
Upside down, I don't get coffee in my mustache no more.
that's you don't get mustache in your coffee anymore.
That's right. Happy holidays from Michigan.
Are you snowed in? I know you guys got a bunch of snow, so
You didn't silence your phone.
I did not. Sorry, guys. You didn't hear
Where
me.
can you get the mini brayer?
I ordinarily have them on my website. Of course, right now I am waiting on a shipment. It should be here soon.
Go to Sandy McTeer.
But Sandy McTeer, I believe, has some on hers. So,
Link is in the description.
yep.
Go check it out. Go get yourself a mini brayer. Did Renee shave? Yes.
Did
Oh,
he
you
ever?
must have missed it.
Yep. Renee shaved all right. Found another kid underneath it.
Yeah, there's a...
He's so baby-faced. He looks 12.
Yes, Karen, there is still cookies left.
Barely.
You know, me and my father, we already went through a bag, and we've also gone through a bag of chocolate peanut butter balls.
Yep. Oh, believe me,
Eat.
Karen, they're not going to survive for long.
No. I was surprised with cherries in them, though.
Yes.
They were delicious.
So I've still got a couple of spaces here I'm not tickled pink with, so I want to add a little more, but I think I'll do that with a vintage note. I do like the script. I like having very loose, indistinct script like that. That appeals to me. And so I don't really worry about whether or not the stamp is fully loaded. it doesn't matter. I'm not looking for perfectly clear images. I'm just looking for that visual texture or just the hint of, that script work that's back there. So I'm going to dry this real quick. I love the idea that none of this has to be perfect. In fact, the imperfections are what make this work. And that grunge set, I love this grunge set. Mine is like, I've almost worn out. I have to, here obviously need a good cleaning, but.
My son used to trim his mustache and beard in different ways. You could always tell when he messed up because he would shave it all off and start over.
Well, Renee decided to take pictures during the process of shaving his beard and mustache, and oh dear God.
I went with the full biker goatee.
You went with the 70s porn star mustache there at one point. It was awful.
Porn star mustache. It was the whole handlebar goatee, like shaved chin and...
That was 70s porn star.
And
it
then
was horrible.
The best way to describe it is the sex offender registry mustache.
Yes. I much prefer either the full beard and mustache or nothing, honest to God, because he looked pretty sketchy there for a bit.
Then I tried the Charlie Chaplin, and that one...
No. No. So you're going to want to dry this really well. Of course, now I've heated it with my heat gun and it's too hot. So the next step is to subdue all of this stamping. We don't want this glaring white because it'll compete with our flower. We don't want that. So I'm going to thin a little asphaltum with some water or glaze. If you have glaze, use that. And I'm going to use my fugly brush.
So did the wax on the mustache for a bit? Yeah, no, I never went that far. I just let it grow. I'm going to let it grow again. Just my face needed to breathe after, what?
A year?
A year? It was getting pretty bad. Like, my cheeks were starting to crack because my skin was so dry.
Yeah.
And my beard was getting so thick, beard oil wasn't getting to my skin.
So it was time.
It was time.
So I'm just putting a wash of that asphaltum over top of all of that stamping. And all it's doing is just subduing the lettering a little bit, but it's also softening that black. It's taking the harshness out of that black and warming it up a little bit. Gives it a vintage feel, which appeals to me. I love that vintage look. And because the paint is runny, I'm not really worried about brush marks because they're just going to soften anyway. So I'm going to dry this.
Is younger brother giving them both on mustaches and tried stuff up? Yeah, no. Not for me.
So I love how this looks, whereas that black takes on a different feel altogether when you put that asphaltum over top of it. It warms it up a little bit. Doesn't look quite so harsh, but yet it still gives you that nice dark background.
Wash? What?
Washcloth?
Yeah. Very Facebook page.
Did we lose sound somewhere?
What's going on?
No, it seems to be working fine. So, there. So now I want to pull in a little metallic. I love metallic in these pieces. It's just a little bit of reflection. And so I'm going to use a little bit of 24 karat gold and that postage or postal stamp in here. It just adds a little bit of interest and it adds a little bit of sparkle, which I like my sparkle. So I'm going to use this postage stamp. Again, I very rarely use the whole thing. I like to have it go off the page a little bit. It just makes things a bit more interesting. And so I'm going to use my stencil brush. Now, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to secure the stencil because the last 2 times I did this, I didn't secure the stencil and I ended up making a mess. So I'm going to just grab a little bit of painter's tape and I'm going to secure the stencil in place so that I don't have it shifting on me. And I'm going to use just a little bit of that 24 karat gold. I'm using the Extreme Sheen, the Deckworks Extreme Sheen for this. And circular fashion, change directions frequently. 1 coat's usually plenty. I don't really, and then I can check, yep, I like that. So that's 1. And I like this cancellation stamp on this one here, but I also like a little bit of that stamp, like the postage stamp.
Stampity stamp stamp.
So I'm going to do the same thing to this, use a little bit of that 24 karat. Now you can do as much of this as you want or as little as you want or not at all if that's what you prefer. I just like that little bit of gold in there. And if you really want to have a little bit of fun with it, say I wanted to repeat this little cancellation stamp that I have there, I would just put a little gold out on my palette, get some on my stamp, and then I would tuck a little gold one someplace, wherever you want. Just for that little bit of sparkle. I just like that. I like that little bit of sparkle in there. It just gives us a little oomph. And then I'm going to dry this. Not using a ton of paint on this, so you don't really have to worry about it drying all that fast because it's nearly dry when I put it on the stencil. So there we go. Now at this point, if you wanted to, you could spatter this with a little bit of gold or a little bit of white if you want to. I think I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'll keep the spatter for after the fact if I decide to. I generally, if I think that the finished piece needs a little softening, then I will spatter it.
They're really liking the background.
I love this background. It's just so functional, and you can do this in any color. So you could do this on a white background with black lettering, put the asphaltum over top of it, gives it a completely different look, makes it look like old parchment, and then you can add gold or silver seals to it and it looks fantastic. So it's really a versatile technique regardless of what color you started with. So you can have a lot of fun with it. So that is our background, super easy, doesn't take very long to do. The only thing I will say about doing the stamping in the background is don't worry about completely filling it. Don't worry about whether or not the stamps are perfect. It doesn't matter. You're just creating a little bit of pattern back there. The only thing I will recommend it is if it's writing, like in this case, try to keep all the lettering going in the same direction. I find that when things get angled like this, they get very hard to keep together, and the eye wants to go in 50 different directions. The idea behind a background like this, even though there's a lot going on back there, is that it gives the eye something to look at, but it still pulls the eye around the piece without taking away from the focal point that's in it. So when you're talking about lettering, we have a natural tendency to want to read everything from top to bottom, left to right. So when you're talking about a stamp like this, having it going diagonally across the thing, if you start that way, keep going that way. Don't try to have them all mismatched over it because it gets very confusing to the eye and it makes it difficult to focus on one thing. So I like to keep everything going in one direction. Doesn't matter which direction that is. If it's diagonal, keep them all going diagonal. If it's top to bottom, left to right, then keep it going top to bottom, left to right. This just makes it a little more easy on the eye and not so confusing. So now that we've got our background done, you can just simply trace and transfer your line drawing on. And in this case, this flower is actually quite a simple one to trace out because there's no elaborate detail in that line drawing. It's pretty straightforward. So I have mine traced on.
You can bring it closer to you.
And I have 1 coat of light buttermilk. over top of the black. That's it. And you can see by the way I put it in, I just sort of followed the shape of the flower, and I left a line here and here in between these various segments so that I don't have to trace my line drawing back on, because I hate that.
Jeez. 139 people watching today.
Nice. So I'm working with a little bit of gesso today.
And 100 of them are from YouTube. Notifications work sometimes.
So, and the brush that I'm going to use to do this flower is this one. This is a number 8 filbert wave. It's a faux squirrel. They have them in the black gold too. So if you have one in the black gold, you're already set. But I like this faux squirrel one. It's my favorite. And I like this size. There's a number of different sizes, but this number 8 is my favorite. So we're going to work with a number 8 filbert wave.
Oh my goodness, it's not warm white?
It is not warm white.
That's Jessica.
I know, I use warm white for everything. But the light buttermilk actually works better in this case. So,
Tracy, what is your table surface made of? I'm intrigued by the wood floor look.
this table is actually like a 1970s, 1980s steel desk. It's like a commercial grade desk.
Yep.
It's as ugly as the day is long. It is just the most hideous piece of equipment you've ever seen. It is, however, the best desk ever because it is so stable and it is so smooth. But it was fugly. So I got on Amazon and I found this. It's not a MacTac. It's actually a repositionable wallpaper, a vinyl wallpaper. And I coated the top of my table with it. Works like a hot damn.
A warm hola to you and Renee from paradise.
From paradise.
What's your definition of paradise? Me, it's hot tub with a Cuban cigar and a bottle of scotch.
You don't even drink. But apparently that's paradise.
That's paradise.
Paradise for me. Nice big chair on a wonderful warm beach.
In front of a fire.
No, don't need a fire. I'm on a warm beach.
Warm beach. Warm beach.
Yep.
Not hot beach.
Yep. Nothing but Mediterranean in front of me and nothing but Positano behind me.
Oh, okay. Now you're...
Yeah.
Okay.
That is paradise.
Then where would you be during the winter?
Positano.
No, you'd be cold.
In Positano?
Yeah.
The Mediterranean?
They get snow.
Not Positano.
Yes, they do. In the Mediterranean? Yes, they do.
Not there.
I've seen snow in Cyprus.
Okay. I can buy a sweater.
I can buy a sweater. Okay, fair enough. I can buy a sweater. Yeah.
I can buy a sweater. Okay, so I'm going to show you a really neat trick. This is a really fun way to get the texture of a calla lily, or you know those thick petaled flowers. Any thick petaled flower, you can always see there's a little bit of texture to them. And this is a really easy way to get that texture. So I have a little bit of warm white and cat hair.
And cat hair.
Cat hair.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's been down here.
Secret ingredient. Paradise Newfoundland? Yeah,
Yes.
no.
Happy Valley. Goose Bay. So
I don't want to have to dig for my car.
you might have to do that here.
Yeah, true.
So I'm scooping up a little bit of just plain gesso, and I'm mixing it about 50-50 with a little bit of warm white.
Cat hair for texture.
Yeah. And so you want sort of a thick paint. And I picked up a little bit, I don't know if you can see that clearly. There's like a little blob on the end of my brush. And we're going to come over here to the edge of the petal. And I'm going to just tap that blob onto the surface, right at the edge of the petal, like so. So we have a blob. And then you're going to take the very tip of the brush and you're going to pull back and follow the shape of the curve in that petal. So it's essentially a comma stroke. And you should be able to see very fine stria. I know it's going to be hard to see under the cameras. So a glob, little blob at the edge of the petal, and then use the tip of the petal, the brush, sorry.
Melissa Jones has got a good question for you.
Okay.
The rubber stamps bend easy. How
Yeah.
do you prevent them from that happening? I have a problem with them bending on me. Are there backings for that?
Yes. You can get what's called an acrylic block. I have one here.
Do you?
Yep.
You got one handy?
I don't. Yeah, I do. I know. It's more than just a hat rack, son. Okay. So there's different types, but you can get an acrylic. And, oh, good God.
How long has that been on there?
Too long. You can get an acrylic block. Essentially, it's like this. It's very thick. This one's about a 1/2 inch thick. It's got a little groove cut in it so that you can hang on to it. And your rubber back stamps will literally just stick to that block, like so. And so you can press them down onto a surface, and it distributes the pressure more evenly, so you don't get those blank spots in the middle of it. So you can get these. They have them available. Most arts and crafts stores will have them. Paper crafting stores will have them. I got that one at Michael's. This one, again, this one's got a grid so that if you're using lettering, you can get it nice and straight.
Closer to you.
Okay.
There you go.
So this one is nice and straight. So if you're using lettering, these are your guides. And that acrylic block will help immensely if you're having trouble getting your stamp to print clearly, especially on flat surfaces and whatnot. On a canvas, it's a little difficult to use a block because the canvas flexes. So now you've got something that doesn't flex on a surface that does. So that's why I very rarely use the acrylic block when I'm working on a canvas. But if I'm working on a hard surface, like a wooden one, or if I'm on cardstock or paper, this is the one that I use.
I can't get stamps to stick to my block.
Wipe it down with a baby wipe or a little bit of moisture.
Baby wipe.
Yep.
A little spray of water.
Yep. Just moisten them a little bit and they'll stick.
And when will soot hair be available on your website?
Pretty sure it's on everything we mail, so.
Yeah, you probably already got a bunch. What size canvas? 8 by 8, yeah.
Yep, the canvas is an 8 by 8. So there I just put that little glob of that mixture at the edge of the flower, and then I just pull back towards. So there you get that little stria that creates that floral. Now, of course, as you work up the flower, that's going to straighten out a little bit.
Yeah, you can put a book underneath your canvas.
You can put a book underneath your canvas. You can put another, like an artist's panel, little wood piece.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll help with your stamping as well.
Yep.
You can go check a puppy.
So this is all I'm doing is just going along the edge of my flower with that paint and gesso mixture.
Okay, just watch. The second I get upstairs,
Yep,
your microphone's gonna cut out.
probably. So you'll notice that I'm gradually changing the direction of those lines. So they were going curved like this, and then they gradually straighten out as I come across the top. And they're going to change direction again when I get to this side. So now they're going to start curving in the other direction. I love this technique. It does some really cool things. So you can push that little bit of texture. You don't need a ton of it. And you see how I'm gradually pulling that down towards the throat of this calla, like so. There's our mixture. I have to mix a little more, got a little heavy-handed. There we go. I love this technique. It works for all kinds of flowers too. Don't be afraid to try it on a variety of different flowers. It works really well, especially on things that have a velvety finish. Things like pansies, it works really well on that. So now I've got lots of fun. It's not a heavy texture either. This is the fun part about this, is that it isn't super heavy. There's not a ton of product on there. And so it gives you this really nice texture at the edges of the flower. So we've developed that little ruffle, that thickness. It gives you the appearance of that heavy petal. So a little bit of gesso mixed with acrylic paint and a brush with a nice textured edge like that filbert wave. If you don't have a filbert wave, maybe you've got a small flat, use that. As long as it's got a little texture at the end of it, you can use it. I am particularly fond of this filbert. You can see it's just sort of a ragged edge on the edge of that brush, but it creates just the most wonderful textures on the edges of that flower. So we need to dry this. And because it's gesso, it's not going to, if I used a texture medium, it might take a little bit longer. But because I used gesso, it's going to dry fairly quickly. So makes things so much simpler. Now we're looking for quite a realistic appearance, and that texture in there is going to give us quite a bit. And it will really start to show, particularly when we start shading and highlighting these flowers. Okay, so almost dry. Dry enough for our purposes. So we're going to, now we have to start adding more color to this. I'm going to grab, I've got a nice little round here and some warm white now. I love warm white. It's my favorite white, as most of you know. So we're going to start base coating our flower a little bit. I'm putting in just a thin coat of warm white.
Happy Mail.
Oh,
No.
yeah, it should be Happy Mail. I think there's Breyers in there.
Sandy McTeer.
Miss Sandy sent me my box.
Yeah. Opened by CBSA. Okay, so Customs took a peek.
Yep.
Probably had a canine hit on it.
Probably.
Not a big deal.
So I'm just putting a coat of warm white over top of that light buttermilk. Now I used the light buttermilk because it had a little bit of yellow in it. And it actually covered that black better than I was using warm white. But that buttermilk, that light buttermilk covered the black better. So that's the only reason I used it.
Would a filbert rake work?
Filbert rake. You might find that the rake will be a little too soft. There's not really a lot of hair in a rake, so you may find that it's a little too soft.
How does it work with other colors?
It works with all sorts of colors. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that the medium itself, the gesso, is white. So whatever color you add into it is going to be affected by the white. Having said that, There, you can use a heavy gel medium, which is transparent, and you can use that instead. You just need a thick medium. A texture medium will work. I use gesso because it's what I have, and I actually like working with it. So I'm just putting a light coat of warm white in there. Just one. I am not putting a ton of color on there. Don't need it.
I keep a notebook just for your tips. Nice.
So,
Will the clear gesso work?
clear gesso will work, yes. Just need something with a little body in it, that's all. Heavy gel medium will work, clear gesso will work, gesso will work. The opacity of it means nothing.
Joyce Wilson, I could watch you paint all day, and I love how easy you make things look.
Well, I happen to love me some Joyce Wilson. She's a lovely lady. I've known Joyce for a long, long time. She used to take classes with me and help me with classes when we were teaching in Toronto. She lives in the Hamilton area. She's a fabulous lady and an incredibly talented painter. You know those beautiful red and white lace Christmas decorations that I have, the big glass balls?
Yeah.
Joyce painted those.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
They're beautiful, and they go on my tree every year. They have their own tree. They're absolutely beautiful.
My gesso. Does gesso come in different thicknesses? My gesso doesn't look as thick as yours.
It depends. This is the media gesso, and this one is generally thicker than most. I love this one. If you find your gesso is thinner, scoop out a little bit, let it sit and let the air get at it for a little bit, and then stir it every once in a while.
Donita, they're not actual squirrel hair.
No, they're not. They are a synthetic.
Yeah. Faux in French means fake.
Yep.
Or imitation.
Imitation, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to tell you about this. The brushes that I use the most often are these ones. This is a Dynasty Faux Squirrel. For years, artist brushes were made out of real squirrel hair, which is, for obvious reasons, not a very popular thing anymore. But the difference is a natural hair in a brush, like a natural squirrel hair. It holds a ton of water. And none of the hairs are the same size, which for a great many years was really difficult to replicate. What allows these brushes to work as well as they do is the texture on each individual strand of the hair. And the company Dynasty created this filament. It's so cool to watch it being made too. So this filament has what's called a synthetic flag, which is that soft end. And that's done by dipping the synthetic into a bath, and it causes the hair to stretch and come to a point. And it's a fabulous process. But because each of the hairs of the filaments, I should say, because it's not technically a hair, each of the filaments is made in such a way that they have a texture on each strand, and none of them are the same. So when you put all of these different sized filaments and whatnot into a ferrule, you get something that replicates a natural hair. And so this faux squirrel is super, super soft. It feels like the real deal. And it holds water and holds paint like a natural hair, responds like a natural hair, but it's a synthetic. No squirrels were harmed in the making of these brushes. I cannot say the same for the synthetics.
But that's a synthetic brush.
It is a synthetic brush. So, and most of there's very few brushes anymore that are made with natural hair. Very few, because the ability to create such great synthetics, and a high quality synthetic at that. So I love this brush. Super soft, does wonderful things with texture mediums, and it's such a cool thing. So I'm going to use that same brush, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm white, and I'm going to just put a wash of warm white over top of this. because it wasn't quite opaque enough, so I'm going to make it a little more opaque.
Here it LGTV have free channels, and one of them is painting with Bob Ross.
Wow.
I get the same feeling watching Tracy that I did watching Bob Ross. There is a gentleman on Twitch who is a Bob Ross instructor.
Yes, Nick.
Nick.
Yep.
And you go to twitch.com. I can't remember. Is it Painting with Bob? Or
Painting with Nick.
Painting with Nick.
Yeah.
On Twitch, you can actually watch.
He's wonderful. Nick is fabulous.
He is trained in the
technique. He is an official Bob Ross instructor. And he's so talented.
What is Twitch? It's a streaming service.
Yeah.
We thought about going on there, but Twitch is very video game oriented.
Yeah, but there are a lot of different things on Twitch.
Yeah.
Not just video
Just
games.
chatting, there's hanging out, there's an entire section for artists.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is geared towards the younger generations.
Yeah. And Nick is younger.
Yeah.
And he's also incredibly gifted. The guy's such a remarkable talent. So, while I'm letting that flower dry, it's time to base coat this leaf. And the color I'm using is antique green. I love this green. And I'm going to base coat the whole leaf with antique green. And I am putting it on in the shape of the leaf, which means that I'm not doing this, cross-hatchy method. I'm following the shape of the leaf. And this actually has a benefit doing it this way, is because it's creating the stria that I want.
She needs more hair to be Bob.
I need a lot more hair to be Bob.
Perm.
I need what? A perm?
In order to be Bob.
That is not going to happen.
Mm-mm. Well, Sheila's out of here. Did Sheila take off?
Sheila's got stuff to do. She's on vacation.
Oh, yeah. Go enjoy your vacation.
Miss Sheila is finally taking some well-deserved time off.
I'll be here next week, though.
So I'm putting the base coat on the stem, and note where I'm stopping. I'm stopping just before the curve at the bottom of that flower.
What is a bright brush used for?
A bright is generally used for blending, chisel blending. I have one here, I think.
And why is it called that?
I really don't know why it's called that, to be perfectly honest. But a bright is similar to a flat, just has a much shorter LO. And the LO refers to the length of the bristle.
You can bring...
Okay.
Before you used to be pushing it away from you now. I had it set up so you can almost paint in your lap.
I can almost paint in my lap. So I'm going to dry this real quick.
Real swirl hair brushes are really hard to find.
And very expensive.
Yeah.
I had
we are ethical people.
That's one of the fabulous things about Dynasty is that almost everything that they manufacture is either a renewable resource from recycled or reusable material, and their bristle is all synthetic, so no animals are ever harmed in the manufacture of their brushes.
Yeah. Or if it is a actual hair,
Yeah,
it's ethically harvested.
it's ethically sourced. Yep.
Yeah, ethically sourced. That's the word.
So we're going to start.
Soothing voice is hypnotic.
Don't think my voice has ever been referred to as hypnotic.
I don't know who they're referring to.
So we're going to start developing this Arum Lily. And so I'm going to use a little bit of Bahama Blue. I love Bahama Blue. I think this is, aside from asphaltum, I think this is one of my favorite colors in the decor lineup.
My nickname for Bob Ross is Mr. Valium.
Mr. Valium. That's
Mr. Laudanum.
laudanum.
He had a bit of an addiction to laudanum.
Oh, you could laudanum.
Yeah, it's an
used-
opioid.
I know what it is,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been called laudanum in 100 years.
It was a tonic or
Victoria-
tincture. It was still called laudanum. What about Tuscan Red, Miss Tracy?
I love Tuscan Red. I think Tuscan Red is one of my favorite reds too. It's just a yummy, rich red. So we're going to start by shading this flower. I'm going to do that with an angled shader. I wanted, oh goodness, do I have one that isn't? There we go. I forgot to put a nice 1/2 inch in the water.
It took me forever to learn how to pronounce that word,
Laudanum?
laudanum. Because the way it spells, it's like la 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 la.
So I'm starting with a float of Bahama Blue.
There's too many L's in that word.
And we're going to put that color into the throat of this flower. Lots of water on the brush, only a little bit of color. Don't need a ton of color for this. And you're going to let that float kind of run out like so. And I'm going to do the same thing back here.
I agree about not harming squirrels, but some people eat them little critters. Okay.
They're good eating.
Squirrel is good eating. Just like rattlesnake.
Yep.
Rattlesnake. No, I didn't have rattlesnake. I had corn snake.
I had
It
rattlesnake.
does not taste like corn.
I had rattlesnake in Texas.
I had gator.
And gator.
Gator is surprisingly flavorful.
It is. Similar texture to pork, I found. So I'm taking a little of that Bahama Blue up underneath this petal, and I'm going to pull a little of it down here. I want to come about halfway down the back side of that calla, right there. And then we're going to put a little of that Bahama Blue underneath this little flip over, right there. And again, that color's going to come down a little bit, but not a ton.
Do squirrels have a nutty flavor? I knew that question was going to come up. No. No, they don't.
No.
And no, they don't taste like chicken. They have the same texture as chicken, just like snake does. It definitely does not taste like chicken. Feels like chicken.
Oh my God. Things you never needed to know. So there is a little indentation in the top of this right here. We want to put that little indentation in there. I'm going to blend that color out a little bit. I don't want it quite that strong, but there we go. So I got that little indentation in. And then there is a little twist in that little strand that's coming off of our lily. And so I'm putting a little float of that blue in there as well.
Oh, Jessica Killerman's from Maine.
Yes.
Yes. So she just stated that we live on a farm and we live off our land. So I know for a fact that you get those big, fat gray squirrels. So we can make a dinner out of those. We get the same big, fat gray squirrels here.
Yeah, we do. So much so I nicknamed one Buddha.
Yeah, that thing had a belly.
Yeah, she was chunky.
My mom used to cook squirrels growing up and put them in red gravy. She had 7 kids to feed.
Yeah, hey, whatever.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. Frog legs taste like chicken. Again.
Yep.
Texture of chicken,
Yep. Mild flavor.
mild flavor.
So we've got our blue in, and we're going to deepen all of those colors with a little bit of asphaltum. Now, this brown always scares people because it's a color that I use in very controlled amounts. And so you need to thin that color out. So when I pick up a little bit of asphaltum, I pick up just a little. And then I blend that puppy out big time. I'm going to show you. So here is my asphaltum. I've got a little bit of my brush, and I'm going to blend it out. So there's lots of liquid in my brush, very little paint. I don't want this color full strength, so I aggressively blend this color out. Because remember, we're working over white. We don't want to bury this. And so I'm going to start with the darkest area first, which is down in here. And I'm going to pull a float of asphaltum underneath that petal. And that little bit of brown is actually a yellow, and it instantly changes that blue from a blue to a soft green. And so I'm going to take that same float. You'll notice I have not reloaded my brush. I don't need to, because I have lots of moisture in my brush and very little color.
Come get my squirrels. They're free to whoever wants them. What is the purpose of the gray palette paper?
It actually helps me see the colors better, particularly when I am mixing color. It helps me mix color more accurately so that I'm not fighting against the white or having to deal with the contrast. Having that gray helps me mix color more accurately.
Run, zombie, run.
So I've gotten that shadow in there. I want to pull a little of that asphaltum along here. And then I'm going to pull that asphaltum down into the throat of this flower. Right here.
I had octopus at a Chinese restaurant, and the texture was like Jell-O. That was not cooked.
No, it wasn't cooked properly. I love octopus. It took me a long time.
Octopus sashimi is really good.
Yes, it is.
And that is raw.
Yeah.
But it's treated with rice vinegar.
Yes.
And so it's basically cured.
Yep.
It's delicious.
Yeah. So I've taken a little of that asphaltum down into the throat of that flower. And while we are doing that, I'm going to load up my brush again. I need to put in, I want you to see this. You see this right here, this little dark patch? This is a shadow of this. Because our light is coming at this angle, the top of this shadow drops slightly below this one. And so there's a narrow space, and then we're going to put that shadow in. So, and it is a subtle shadow. I don't need to have a ton of color in there. So I'm just going to float something roughly the same shape as that stamen in there. And I'm going to dry this real quick. Now, each time that you go over this with another thin float of asphaltum, it gets a little deeper. And I love how it looks when you get these shadows just so. So I'm giving this 2 coats because I want this to have that almost ethereal feel to it.
Ethereal?
Ethereal. Great word.
Ethereal?
And then
Out of this world? From
out of
the
this
ether?
From the ether, yeah. So I'm going to put a float of that asphaltum over that blue there and blend it out. And then we have this great little shadow that's going to come under here to really accentuate that little flip in the petal.
Gray Matter, right?
Yes, it's a gray matter palette.
Yeah, Gray Matter palette. That's the brand. Just trying to think. I've been hearing a lot lately about wet palettes. What are your thoughts on how they work?
You know what? Wet palettes are ideal for people who like to work wet into wet, or if they like to brush mix a lot. I have a wet palette, a Stay Wet palette, a Masterson's, a great big one. I don't use it. I have one, but I don't use it. I think it's a matter of preference. I have always been one to brush mix right on my palette. I've never really used a Stay Wet palette for any long length of time. And I'm very heavy-handed with paint anyway, so I tend to use a lot of paint when I sit down to paint. So a Stay Wet palette for me is just not very practical, I'm afraid. So we've got all of our shading in place. So now I want to come down here and I want to start adding a little bit of light to the base of this flower, and I'm going to do that with a little bit of citron green. The reason I chose citron for this, even though it's not what the other colors are, and it's the only place that I use it, it's because this color is a little on the transparent side. And I want to bring that green up. If you have a look at a calla lily, or in this case, the arum lily, there is a very gradual transition. There's no stop mark for the stem. It's as if the petals just became part of the stem. So I want to bring in a little bit of that green at the base of this flower and just float that so that it gradually blends out.
Tracy paints so fast her paint doesn't have a chance to dry out. Bushy-tailed squirrels are beautiful, but the ground squirrels around here are a menace. That's because ground squirrels aren't actually squirrels.
I love ground squirrels. We can call them prairie dogs.
Yeah,
We had prairie dogs out west. Loved them.
They're hilarious.
Yeah, they are very funny and they're entertaining.
But they don't fall into the squirrel category.
They belong to the same phylum, I think, but I don't. Yeah. But they're funny little creatures. Love them. So I've got my little bit of green here at the base. This sort of gives that translucence of those petals a little more life. So next what we're going to do is work on this leaf down here. I'm going to grab a little bit of plantation pine and put that on my palette. Love plantation pine, and it's my favorite green shading color. Lately, I have been picking up a bottle of black green from time to time to get nice deep shadows. So we're going to put a shadow. We're going to start right about here. And we're going to develop a center vein in this flower, in this leaf. Didn't quite have enough water in my brush.
I use wet palettes when I'm working on a project that will take a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So again, I shade into the bottom of my leaf, like so that I'm coming up that edge. Now there are two flip overs on this leaf right here. There's one here, and it just sort of bends and comes out about here. You know, instead of repainting it, you don't have to because it's already there. You just take your float like so. And I take it almost to the edge of the leaf. And then I come back up. And then I end it at the edge of the leaf. So now I have a flip over. Just a little bend in those leaves. Like so. So I'm going to dry this. And then we're going to start deepening this shadow. I don't want this to be an absolutely perfect leaf. I want a little depth. And that's what's going to create it, is we're going to make that shadow nice and dark.
Oh, I am wrong. Okay. They are a squirrel. They're part of the same. Yep. Okay. Well, I didn't think they were.
Would you think they were like a groundhog or?
Well, I knew they were part of the rodent family,
Yeah,
or the order of rodents,
yeah.
but I didn't realize they were part of the squirrel family.
Neither did I. Always thought they were fell into the same category as like a groundhog or something.
Yeah. Sucridae. Rodents are, the squirrel family includes tree squirrels, ground squirrels, chipmunks, marmots,
Marmots. Okay, that explains
flying
some.
squirrels, and prairie dogs.
Yep. Yeah, we have prairie dogs. We were living in Manitoba. We had one in our backyard. They're very entertaining. And they're very smart.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue to build this depth down here by deepening that shadow considerably. You're going to do it in layers. That way you have control. It's much easier to do it this way. So now I'm going to put a shadow on that side of the stem. And I'm going to do it this way. So a little float. Okay, Trace. Trying to paint with too big a brush. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to get that float up that side of the calla lily, the stem. Like so. And I'll come back to my other angled shader for the leaf.
I didn't see the zombie earlier, but I see him now. What do you like to paint the most?
I love doing florals. I just find them challenging. There's no two that are exactly the same. I have never been much for doing animals, although I find them challenging. I do enjoy doing animals in colored pencil, particularly birds. But generally, I love painting flowers, which is rather ironic considering I can't grow them.
That's why you paint them.
That's why I paint them. I can't grow them, so I paint them. So as I said, I'm just doing one layer after another until I get the depth that I want. And doing it this way, I have all kinds of control over how this looks. So I've got a little shadow here. I want to deepen the edge of my leaf here a little bit because there's a nice little shadow on that.
Wow.
So now it's time to start adding a highlight to this leaf. And I'm going to switch to a more opaque green. I used a citron green to get this transparent bit down here at the base of the flower, but I'm going to use a more opaque green in the same family to do the highlighting, and I'm using matcha green for that. A lot of people don't care for this green, but I like it for highlights because it's an easy color to control. So I'm going to use a little highlight on the upper edge of my leaf right here.
Do you paint from photos?
Sometimes. Depends on what I'm painting. But I usually start with some sort of research to figure out something about the flower. As I did in this case. I've painted calla lilies before, or arum lilies. But I was looking for some really nice photo references, and one of the ones that I found, oddly enough, was in a botanical book. And the information, that's where I learned that this is technically not even a lily, which I found really interesting. And then I learned more and more about it. The flower originates in Africa. So it is a common flower in Africa. It actually grows wild and is considered a weed. We consider it a really elegant floral, but it is actually considered a weed in its native country.
I can't grow plants either, Tracy. I kill them every time. Even my Christmas tree is fake.
Oh, mine is too, believe me.
Yeah.
Just
Actually, how's your lettuce doing?
it's growing. I got one of those machines.
Have a look.
It's growing, but it's slow.
Well, yeah. Hey, it's in here, right?
Yep. I got one of those machines for growing things. You know, it's got a light and all that. Even my lettuce is not happy, so. But I think
Red lettuce?
it's red lettuce, yes.
Okay. It's turning red.
Oh, yay. Maybe in a good way?
There's not enough to make it sandwich.
No, I know. He's worried about the volume of lettuce I'm creating.
Definitely not enough to make a sandwich.
So I'm just going to intensify that highlight at the top of this leaf just before that turnover by stroking in just a little of that matcha green because I want a brightest, a nice crisp highlight right there. And it gives you a nice little flip over. So I'm going to dry that real quick and then I'm going to deepen that shadow a little underneath there. So you'll notice that I only used one coat of green on this. I didn't want a heavy coat, but I like that earthy feel of that antique green. It's still my favorite green, I think, in the decor art line. I like that it's earthy. I like that it's a little transparent. It has a fairly high yellow content. So when I have a white base down, I get a nice bright leaf. But I don't have that, citron-like look to it, which I try to avoid because I think it's a hard color to control. So I really like how that looks. So I'm going to go grab my angled shader. We're going to mix a little bit of a darker value of the green because I really want some contrast down here. So I'm going to take a little of that plantation pine and I'm going to add just a touch of black to it. Just a touch. I only want to change the value by a little bit. I don't want to make it black, which is the reason I've been using a lot of black green because I wanted that sharper contrast, that darker value in there, but I didn't want it, to make it solid. So I'll dry that real fast. And then I'm going to give it a little float. There we go. Now I'm getting somewhere. So I firmly believe that you build up those shadows a little at a time. You're going to have a much better result in the end instead of trying to get it all done in one go. So I'm going to take a little matcha green. I want to pop up that highlight right there at the highest point of that curve in the leaf. I want a brighter green. Just like that. I'm going to let it sort of trail out a little.
Mary Lou Harris, 7 months. Good
Yeah.
morning from Colorado.
Good morning. And then when I'm done highlighting, I almost always come back with my shading color and just clean up the shadows a little bit. I want everything nice and crisp and clean. I like sharp shine. Look at that. Real nice. And then I'm going to grab my rigger and a little bit of matcha green, and we're going to put a highlight on our leaf right here. I just want it nice and clean, and that's all. Just like that.
I can grow regular plants, but I kill succulents. What's a succulent?
Like hens and chicks. Aloe vera is like a succulent. They're
Oh.
thick, waxy leaved plants.
Ah, gotcha.
They require a lot of moisture and a lot of care. Hence the reason I don't own any. The only thing that I can grow with any success is mold.
So good to finally catch one of these live. I usually miss them.
Oh no.
Oh. She goes, "Hey, Tracy." This is Darlene.
Darlene.
Back porch.
Darlene's back porch. She's my pal in Alabama. Mwah. Hi, Dar. Love you, sweetie. I want to come down and play in her sandbox. She's got a great little shop and a gallery and studio, and I'd love to go down there.
No, yeah.
Yeah. She's a doll. Okay, so I've got my highlights in place on that leaf, and now we're going to have a little bit of fun. It's time to add that punch of color. So I'm going to grab my round and a little bit of warm white, and I'm going to put a coat of warm white on that stamen right there.
She says, "Oh, come on down." Haven't seen a chat post since 10:16 a.m. Do you know why? What?
I have no idea.
Not a clue.
So I'm just putting a light coat of warm white over the stamen. And then I'm going to dry this real quick. And then we're going to put a coat of saffron yellow over top of this. That's my go-to in-your-face, nice bright yellow. I love saffron. If you're working with the fluid acrylics, the color you're going to grab is that diarrhea yellow. You know, that school bus yellow. It's awesome. I love it.
Oh, excuse me.
Certainly. So I'm going to put a coat of that diarrhea over top of that warm white.
Some people rescue dogs, cats. I rescue plants.
I admire anybody. My mother had a green thumb and she could grow damn near anything, and no.
No.
Nope. So I got a little bit not diarrhea, I'm using saffron yellow for that stamen. I've just got one coat on. It doesn't need to be.
All the saffron I've seen is like red.
Saffron is generally an orangey yellow. And I'm going to dry this real quick.
That's dried saffron. Huh?
Yeah, that's right. Dried saffron looks kind of rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to dry that. Now the color that I use for shading this is just to give it a little heat. I use orange flame. I love orange flame.
Any neons today?
No neons today. But I am going to use titanium white, which I rarely use. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of orange flame, and I'm really going to blend this color out. I'm not using it full strength. Whoa.
Judy Schumacher. Try reloading the live, maybe? Maybe that'll kick the chat back in. I don't know. She hasn't seen a post
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning, so.
Wow. So I'm just floating up the right side of that stamen with a little bit of that orange flame. And that's my shadow. So I love that heat that orange flame gives. And if you need to, walk it out a little bit.
What can you use in place of orange flame?
Any nice, bright, transparent orange will work just fine. I can recommend using, try a pumpkin spice will work. Warm sunset will work. Bright orange will work. Any one of those oranges.
Watching and making butter tarts.
Yum! I love butter tarts. My mother used to make them at Christmas too, and I loved butter tarts. I just saw something I need to fix here, so I'm just going to grab my rigger and
It's my favorite part of Christmas.
touch that up a little.
It's all the goodies.
He likes his goodies.
I like the food. We're doing Moroccan lamb this year?
We are.
Yes.
We are having Moroccan lamb.
Mm-mm-mm.
So I've got my float in place. I'm going to dry that real quick. And this is where we're going to start building a little bit of depth. A little bit more depth, I should say. And then once we've got that in place, then we're going to start adding our highlights to this flower. So I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum and lots of water. A little bit of asphaltum, lots of water, or glaze.
If you weren't so far away, I'd send some.
And I'm just shading over top of that orange with a float of heavily thinned asphaltum. All I'm doing is just toning down that orange just a little bit.
What is a butter tart?
Butter tarts are heaven.
Mm.
And it all depends. Some places make them with raisins. My mother made them with raisins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were so good. But
I
butter
like the
tarts,
ones with pecans or pecans.
yeah. Butter tarts are amazing.
By the way, favorite pie?
Sugar pie.
Yeah. It's pretty much a peak.
It's a pecan pie without the pecans.
Yeah. Take the pecans out, you got sugar pie.
Yeah.
Put the pecans in, you got pecan pie.
Well, actually, there is a slight difference in how it's made.
Yeah, I think there's more or less vanilla.
Well, and we tend to use in sugar pie. We tend to use.
Don't you dare. Don't think about it.
Oh, soot's here. So we're going to start adding a little more depth. Now, all I did here was just deepen the shadow at the front behind these two petals, the two edges of this petal, with a float of thinned asphaltum. And I'm going to deepen it. What's the matter? Such a diva. Oh my God.
Oh, shut up.
So I just deepened that shadow, but look what it does. That simple little, all I did was just deepen that one little shadow, and it set this back a little further. So we have a shadow back here for that stamen, and I'm going to darken that just
Really, Soot?
a little.
Don't.
So I darkened that shadow just a touch, and the camera's going nuts because Soot is using it for a face scratch.
Go away.
So I darkened that just a touch, and then I'm going to deepen this shadow here,
No.
and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just a little. Hi, Soot.
You're gonna hit that light. No.
There she
Made it. Wow. Impressive.
So all I did was deepen those two shadows just a little bit, but look at how it set that stamen back. And I'll do the same under here, deepen that shadow just a little. I'm just adding one more small float. And again, changing the value of those shadows, look at the difference it makes. So we've got a little bit more realism, but it's still a little rough looking. So we need to add a little bit of texture
Yeah.
to that stamen a little bit. We're going to do that with I'm just using the tip of the rigger and a tiny bit of warm white. And I'm just adding some irregular dots. Some are tiny, some are not. They are not perfectly round. We're just creating a little bit of texture on the highlight side of that stamen.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch the camera.
Why?
There's a kitty.
What's the matter, Stud? Say hi. Oh, now you decide to be quiet. Cat. Just the auto captioning called her Stud. Her name's Soot.
Soot.
So I've just put some tiny dots on the highlight side of that stamen just to create a little extra texture. It isn't huge. I'm not using a ton of it. So now we are at that point. We're going to use the color that I use, perhaps the least of any, titanium white. And this is where you get to clean up a whole bunch of things. Oh my gosh, got paint everywhere. I shook it out.
You did. And it's the neon.
I got white paint all over everything.
No,
I'm
no.
special that way.
Stop it. You're coming here to just annoy me, aren't you?
So I'm going to pick up a little bit of titanium white on my brush, and I'm going to blend that out so that I get a pretty good float. And this is where we're going to come right to the edge of our petals, our flower, and you're going to float with the brightest value towards the outside edge of that leaf, leaf, bunny leaves.
What type of dynasty brush do you use?
I either use faux squirrel or black gold, either one. In this case, I'm just using a black gold. And I'm floating titanium white over the edge of my petals. Now, my base color is the warm white. So when I put this titanium white at the outside edge, it creates a really crisp, bright edge. And I can do the same thing on this edge. So if these floats look a little rough, which mine did, as I'm floating, look how clean that contrast becomes. Clean and sharp. And the same thing on this side. I'm going to come in here, right to the edge of that petal, and it's just a float, just as if you were highlighting. So if you have a spot that needs cleaning up, like I see one right here that needs cleaning up, I can take it right to the edge of that petal. So any little rough spots that need to be dealt with, this is where you deal with them. Any spots where perhaps your shadow, your float wasn't as clean as you would like, this is where you get to clean that up. So now you have nice bright white highlights on your petals. Remember that little turnover there, that little shadow that creates a line? This is where you get to clean that up. Just like so.
Puppy decided he needed to poo. Needed boots, coat, hat, scarf, gloves, and leash. Out the door, through a yard, past the house, and let me guess, didn't have to poop? Got all that stuff on for nothing? Puppies have a tendency to do that. I have to poop! Take me outside! And then you get them outside and then you go, what's this? What's this? I can't remember why I came outside.
Yeah.
And then you bring them inside thinking, yeah, that should be good for another hour. Nope, they gotta poop now.
So I'm going to take that little highlight, and this is where, again, where I clean up all of those little rough, anything that I feel isn't clean and sharp, or in keeping with a calla lily, this is where I get to clean it up. So I want to soften and put a highlight on the belly of this flower. This is where I get to do that. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, brighten up this highlight on this side of the flower and let it run out.
Such as a true diva.
Oh, isn't she just?
Yes.
So one little spot that I want to fix, because I don't think my shadow is quite deep enough, and I want to accentuate it a little bit.
I'm surprised I made it back before you were done.
And it's, oddly enough, it's in a spot that is probably not all that obvious, but it's bugging me, so I need to fix it. There's this little spot right here where these two petals overlap.
Ooh, look at all the names.
So I want to deepen that shadow just a touch and tuck that back in a little. Just felt it wasn't quite dark enough. So now I've got a better transition, and this flower is separated more. These two don't look like they're connected. So I've got them separated now, which was bugging me. I'm going to deepen this a little bit. There we go. Whew.
Butter tart is a small pastry tart made of butter, sugar, and eggs, dried fruit, or nuts.
Yep.
And are added to the filling. These sweet little gems are said to have originated in Quebec back in the 1600s.
Yep. Like a mini sugar pie.
Like a mini sugar pie. Yeah.
My favorite butter tarts. And they use a ton of butter.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of butter in them.
They use a ton of butter. But my favorites were always the ones with raisins. That's why my mom made them. And you can never just eat one.
No. And they're decadent.
Yes, they are decadent. That they are. They're so good. Okay, so I'm rather pleased with this calla lily. It came out really, really nicely. One of the things you can do with this texture on this stamen here, if you really want to, is you can use a little bit of the gesso if you want some more tactile texture on there. You can use a little of the gesso mixed with warm white to do that, and it'll give it a little more dimension. When I put my shadow in, I really try to keep the lightest value in that shadow right there so that there is a line between the stamen and that shadow so that it implies. If it bumped up against it, it would lose some of that realism because the light travels in that bowl. So I left this narrow little space in here so it gives that shadow a bit more realism. So I need to put a highlight on the stem of this stalk down here. I'm going to bring that in with a little bit of the matcha green. I am not taking it right to the edge. So I'm coming down the stem just in tiny little bit. If you find that your highlight isn't quite bright enough, pick up a little bit of warm white. Mine just wasn't quite there. There we go. That's better.
And butter tarts call you from the freezer in the middle of the night.
Do they?
Yes. I'd have to agree with that one.
So I'm just punching up a couple of highlights, brightening them in a few places. Just used a little matcha green and a touch of warm white just to make them jump a little bit.
Kind of like a mini pecan pie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's essentially what a butter tart is.
Yep.
Just a lot more butter.
A lot of butter. So that is an easy way to paint an arum lily. So I'm going to dry this real quick, and then we're going to do that lettering. Now I went to an even smaller rigger than I normally do. Oh, Renee is spinning the wheel. Fran Langevin
Langevin.
You have one of those Stampenda stamps this week. Fran, I have your shipping information, I do believe, so we will just pop that in the mail for you on Monday. I can look you up on the server. I happen to know you're there. So,
It's a unique name.
Langevin.
Langevin.
So, I will...
Which one's she getting?
I don't know. I'm thinking snowflakes from my friend Fran.
You think the snowflake one?
Yeah.
Alright. Her name is Noah. What?
Oh, now you decide to talk.
And no, don't walk across my keyboard.
So I'm going to rinse out my brush here. Now, I want to show you a neat trick. Oh my God. Put your tongue away. I'm going to show you a real neat trick to get this
You have one.
flower to pop off of that background.
You have 1 2.
she,
She has 1 2.
she does.
You have 1 2. Yeah, I know. Go away.
So I'm going to show you a simple trick to make this flower really jump off of that background. And it's going to mean using a little bit of lamp black. And I'm going to pick up a
Don't.
small amount of lamp black.
Don't. Yeah. Stop it. Stop it.
And we're going to float with the darkest value to the edge of the flower. And I'm going to knock back some of that stamping, just a little, by putting this float in. And it's going to help lift the edge of that flower off of that background, because it's knocking all that light colored stamping back a bit. So got that darker value right up against the edge of the flower. I'm trying not to go over my lettering. I have it traced on there, so.
Just want to stay out of paint.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
That cat. One, I don't know how is still alive.
I don't, it's anybody's guess, because she's,
Well, the fact that she drinks out of your water dish there for the
I
brushes,
know. She drinks my paint water.
drinks the paint water. She goes missing for what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, 14 days.
And comes back just missing a tooth, otherwise perfectly healthy.
And a little thin.
She wasn't very thin to begin with.
Well,
She was thinner.
she was thinner, yes. So that little float of lamp black that you put around the outside edge, it just creates a little bit more depth and provides a little distance from the background. And I use a float because I don't want it to be a hard line all the way around.
You can get the snowflake stamp at paintingwithdeb.com.
Yeah.
Or .ca. Is it
Dot
.ca?
com.
.com?
.com.
The link is in the description down below this live stream.
Yep.
You just click that and take
She's got an awesome selection of stamps.
Yeah.
So if you really want to make that flower jump forward, that's how you do it. You just need to subdue the background a little bit, and only near the flower.
She went on vacation.
Yeah, she went on vacation. First of all, so does a rescue. She is declawed. She is an indoor cat. Our cats don't go outside unless they're on their tether. So she has no means of defending herself if she does get out, which we guard against because of that. And so we were worried sick, and we really thought we had lost her for good. And then one morning she just showed up sitting on the deck like, hello, let me in. So, and the other thing about using that float of black is that if at any time you feel that you need to deepen a shadow to create a little more dimension, you can just put a weak float of that in. And there is our lily. I like the subtlety of the shadows in this. They are quite soft. I don't like necessarily want to see a hard edge around that flower, but I do want to see a soft shadow so that it lifts it forward.
Sandy might have this kind of on her side too.
Oh, yeah. You might check there.
Is this a 10 by 10? No, it's an 8 by 8.
Enjoy every minute. It's so beautiful.
So now our only thing we have left to do is the lettering on this piece. I'm going to use warm white for the lettering. And I'm going to change it up a little bit today. Usually I use either a 2 or a 0 rigger. Today I'm using a 10-aught, which is it's like a liner. It's so thin.
Uh-oh. I think she's in a mood.
God help us all. So I'm loading up my rigger. And the neat thing about riggers is that no matter what size they are, the same rules apply. So chisel edge, press down to open it up and come back up onto the chisel edge. Press down, open it up, come back up onto the chisel edge.
Jessica says that would look great in my bathroom with my white gardenia.
Ooh. Well, this one, it looks complex. It's really not. Just take your time with the texturing, and this piece will turn out beautiful. It's just remembering the placement. That's all. That is the biggest thing of this, is remembering the placement, following the shape of the flower. Always keeping in mind that it's coming from the outside and curving in so that it produces a cup effect. That's the only thing you really have to keep in mind with this. And the rest is just shading and highlighting, which you guys already know how to do. So there is the word arum. The biggest difference with using this 10-aught is that it is a delicate brush. It has got a very fine edge, like a good script liner, which is one of the reasons I went to it for this piece. Because I wanted a really fine line. I wanted delicate, and this brush will do that for me.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, Jessica says.
Oh?
I think she wants are you calling dibs on this, Jessica? I have 3 of your flowers. I have 3 of your flowers. Another one sure would be great.
Well, Jessica, your box should be there in the next couple of days.
Oh, you sent them off?
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
And they're filled with goodies?
They're filled with goodies. So just let me know when it arrives.
Jessica Killer, and I would buy it.
I love this little mini rigger. It is great for these tiny little letters, these fine script and whatnot. I don't use it very often. I should use it more because it's a really nice little brush. And it's great for doing this delicate lettering.
If you think she's freehanding it, she's not.
I do have a line drawing down.
There is a line drawing down. She's not
So-
freehanding it completely.
No. I always have a line drawing there as a guide, just to keep everything straight and level. But yes, I know it drives people crazy when they can't see the line. They think I'm doing this completely freehand. It's not.
Who makes the brush? This is Dynasty.
Yep, it is a Dynasty faux squirrel, just like the filbert that I used. So Arum Lily.
Oh, Linda Franco's here. Her box should be there too.
Yeah, she should have hers any day too.
Mind you, she's in Louisiana, right?
Yep.
That might take a little
It
longer.
might take a little longer.
Jessica is in Maine. That's
That one's
hop,
not.
skip, and a fart away. So
Yeah. Yeah, she's 4 hours, 4 or 5 hour drive from here. So
yeah.
it might not take as long. I'm going to dry this real quick.
Look at that.
Now, you can spatter this if you want to. The only thing I would say is generally when I spatter things, it serves a purpose. It's to soften things a little bit. I think that this piece, I don't think it really needs it. I love the textures in here. It's very crisp and it's very clean. The colors are great and it's nicely balanced. And there's enough going on in that background. I don't think that any spattering is really necessary. However, having said that, if I were to spatter it, I think what I would do is probably spatter it with a little bit of thinned gold.
The keyboard's messing up again. You okay, Linda?
So from here, the only thing that I will have to do is to take it out to the garage, and I'll hit it with a couple of light coats of Decor matte spray just to seal everything nice and tight. And then I will probably use a coat or two of Decor's Ultra Matte Varnish on mine like I did with the original. That's what's on here. I love the Ultra Matte. I like that it has very little sheen. I like that low finish and soot hair.
Oh, she just received what she won 3 weeks ago.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Okay.
That's terrible.
So you might get a Christmas present?
Maybe. A little bit of luck. Good management.
Both Linda and Jessica got a big box coming towards them, so.
Yes. So there is our Arum Lily.
Arum Lily.
Arum Lily.
A rum.
It's a fun one. A rum lily.
A rum lily.
Oh.
It's a flower that holds exactly 1 ounce of rum.
Okay. I don't think so.
No?
No.
That's not why it's called a rum?
No.
Okay. Let's switch cameras.
You've still got one more name to draw.
I do.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Clickety. Clickety. There we go. Spin!
I love painting this one. This flower is just, it's an easy piece to paint.
I'll show them this.
What are you showing them?
This is the thing I'm working on.
Oh. Oh my God.
No sound.
No sound?
Oh, there was no sound on that one?
Lost on Facebook.
Oh no. Yeah. There we go.
Do we have sound?
We have sound.
Yay! We have sound. Just in time for me to tell you that Carol Archer.
They didn't hear anything about the wheel.
Okay. Carol Archer is who is drawn for the other Stamp Pen to Stamp for today. That orange wheel of cheese that you see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen is the new toy that Renee is playing with. Essentially, what will happen is that his random generator will choose a name, and then they get to spin the wheel. And the wheel will tell them what they've won. So, they gave him more doodads. Ugh.
It was an update for the software. I'm just looking at things.
He's playing with the doodads. That's what he's doing.
Oh yeah, Carol Archer. I should write that down.
Yep, be a good idea.
Let's switch cameras again.
So fortunately, we did a pile of, we had all of the things packed, but we took all of the addresses that you guys were so great to send us, and we have started mailing out stuff left, right, and center. So there is
Oh,
a
no, those are-
huge influx of stuff went out.
They're all gone.
They're all gone. No, there's still 2 here that have to be packed and whatnot. So
Oh, yeah.
just they have to go FedEx, and they weren't picking up any ground service, so they've been sitting here. So
Carol, our chair.
the shipping services going out of here were so overwhelmed in the last little bit that you could not send out a ground service package through any of the through FedEx, UPS, or Purolator. They just were not making those services available because there was just such a backlog. From what I hear, though, they have managed to clear some of that backlog, and so they've started doing ground service again. So the remainder, 2, I think, boxes that need to go out this week will go out on Monday. But everything else from our 12 Days of Christmas thing has already been shipped. All of it is on the way. So if your name was drawn at any point, just keep your eyes peeled for a package from us. There will be one in the mail in the
Near future.
next month.
It is Christmas.
It is Christmas, so given all of the issues they're having with mailing and shipping, it's they should be along shortly. So that, I think, is it for today.
What are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week? I don't know. I've got so many ideas and I've had no time to paint. So I need to paint today and tomorrow in order to get something done for next week. So,
Trying to order the snowflake stamp. What is the stock number?
oh, the item number should be on the back.
Give me a second.
Renee's going to check.
I'm guessing it's CSL19.
CSL 19, and it is called
Slim Snowflake Wishes.
Slim Snowflake Wishes is the name of the stamp.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. It's a beautiful stamp.
Get them from Stampendas, Painting with Deb.
Yep, you can order them at stampendas.com. You can order them from Sandy McTeer, sandymcteerdesigns.com, or you can get them at paintingwithdeb.com. Any one of those sites will have it available for you. And I think I have to package up a couple of things. I have a lot of finished pieces kicking around this studio. I'm gonna have to start getting rid of some of them. We have too many. So,
Voices don't match the lips speaking.
probably not.
Probably not. It's the end of the stream.
Yeah, things have just got a little confused with it. I think sometimes the internet just goes sideways.
How about the little red truck and plaque?
That's a great idea.
What?
The little red truck. Should we do the plaque or do you want to do the phone stand? We can do either one. This one. I love this one. Little red truck. I love this one.
Did your chair just break?
No.
No?
No, I just ran over the cord on my...
You want to do that one on
Drink.
Saturday?
They want to do that one on Saturday.
They want to do that one on Saturday.
Okay, decision made.
That's what we're doing next
That's what we're doing on Saturday. I have the surface for this one in stock. I have the stencil for this one in stock. We just got them.
Yeah.
So we have oodles of both. Yeah. We've got lots of them. I have phone stands coming, so I know we're out of phone stands at the moment, or very close to it. So we do have phone stands coming. But you asked for it, you got it. If this is the one you want to paint, this is what we're doing on Saturday. Pattern
I have
is...
wall space, hint, hint. Oh, now we got people saying phone stand.
We can do that.
Plaque.
A plaque?
Phone
Okay.
stand, plaque, phone stand, plaque.
You know what? We can do both because
You know
it's
what?
the
We
same
can
thing.
put a poll up on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page.
Well, the fun part about this piece is that it's the same design, just translated to a different surface. So it's an easy enough. If you want to do the phone stand, prep it for the phone stand, but we'll go through the whole process. This is a fun piece to paint. I enjoyed painting this one a great deal.
We're
So
doing the pack.
that's what we're doing next Saturday.
Cool.
You asked for it, you got it.
Yeah. And we won't be live Christmas Day.
We will not be live Christmas Day. But we will come up with something to entertain you, I promise. So,
I'll create like a shenanigans compilation or something like that.
I really love this piece. This pattern is just such fun. with all of these little, the hot chocolate.
Oh, that was
Things.
the members one.
Yeah, this pattern is now up on the website, and it's just such a fun one to paint. I had so much fun painting this.
Show the pieces.
This is the one that we did in our group live class, which was a blast because he's a hoot to paint. He is just fun to paint. And that pattern has all of these pieces, all 3 of these in it.
Hot chocolate and cookies.
Hot chocolate and cookies. I'm all about the cookies.
Which stencil do we need?
For the little red truck, you need the 1-inch buffalo check, and the stencil is the M254, I believe it is. M254 snowflake. Any snowflake stencil will do just fine.
You want to show them this? Give them a heads up.
We'll give them a heads up because we're not releasing this one yet,
Yeah.
but we do have a new stencil design that will be available in the next couple of weeks. I haven't had a chance to work with it and play with it yet, but I'm excited about it. We have a new plaid stencil. It's not a buffalo check, it's a plaid. So this will be available in the next couple of weeks. I'm working on a couple of designs to go with that. So we have oodles of stuff.
A little closer. It's plaid.
It's plaid.
I like plaid.
The tags for these and for the little gnomes and the little gnomes. I was trying to remember what else I would use them for. These little guys. They're just a blast to paint. But we got the tags in for those. And I think you all saw this. This is a free pattern that's up on the website for these little guys. But we did get those tags in, and I have oodles more coming. They should be here early in the week. So
They're excited for the plaid.
they're excited about the plaid. I'm
Yeah.
excited about the plaid. I like plaid. I don't wear it, but I like painting with it. So,
I have that one.
this is new, and you might have it in a different brand, but
This is her design and her. I packaged them up. They haven't even hit market yet.
yeah, I haven't even gotten one wet yet. So,
She hasn't even painted anything with it.
but I'm excited about it. And what else? We got all our surfaces in. Oh, we have your new little free stencil, the little stencil mini. Those start going out soon.
Yeah. Those are
So
cool.
for winter, we have them with stars. They're really cute. So we have snowflakes and stars for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I do love sending out those little minis. They're just a blast.
What size are your tags?
The tags are 2 1/4 by 4 1/4.
Oh yeah, and they come in either chipboard or
Or Baltic birch. The chipboard are
high density.
high density. It's not chipboard. It's MDF.
MDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So we have the tags. So when we're out of the wood ones, which are expensive, the wood is really expensive these days. Then you'll be getting the MDF ones, which I really like. So
Your cup will be in the mail Monday. My cup.
yeah, your cup,
My cup.
your go cup.
Oh, that's Dawn. Yeah, it is Dawn Lavelle. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right, guys. I think that's enough for us today. Thanks so much for coming and spending your time with us. We do really appreciate that. And thank you for helping us hit that 5,000 subscriber mark. If you have friends, family, or whatever that need to do something on a Saturday afternoon, ask them to hit the red button too. We'd greatly appreciate it.
And think about hitting the blue button too.
Yeah, hitting the blue button too is always nice, but
And hit the thumbs up button.
and you know what? When you see our videos posted on our YouTube channel, throw us a comment in the comments section. It's wonderful chatting with you during the lives, but we like to see the comments afterwards too. So if you have questions, if you have a request for a piece that you'd like to see painted, or even an idea for a piece, I'm always happy to hear it, because some days I just can't think of anything. And my biggest problem these days is I have too much up here and no time to get any of it out on a surface.
I
So
have seen her stare at a blank piece of paper on her light box and nothing.
nothing. And then other days it's 50 sheets of paper.
Yeah, there's 50 shades of paper and 9 different designs, and none of them are the same.
Yeah. And right now, my problem is I have no time to sit down and design and too many things in my head. So
You got to design my mom tattoo.
I know. And you got to take a puppy out.
I got to take a puppy out apparently.
All right, guys, that's it for us this week. Please, I know things are crazy, especially in this south central part of the United States right now. Please stay safe. Let us know that you guys are okay. And mask up. Look after yourselves. We love you. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon.